worldwide, we have Matt Drago. Do you ever get compared to Ivan Drago?
All the time, all the time. I'm the Italian version, so the pronunciation is actually Drago for me, Drago
Yeah.
for Russian. But I actually almost was cast in a movie with Dolph Lundgren,
Yeah.
and the first thing that I would have done if I had gotten on set I would have said Ivan Drago, Matt Drago.
Face to face, eh?
Someday I would love to meet him. I've heard he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, he did a really great role in Rocky.
Oh yeah, iconic, iconic. I mean, you can't watch Rocky without thinking he's like a piece of iron,
Oh,
right?
right. So, what are your plans for the holidays and the New Year?
Holidays and New Year's, honestly, just full go on this movie. Somewhere in Montana.
I don't forget. Every moment, every day. God, I miss that woman.
Where are we?
Montana. This one location is holding up our entire shoot. Your ranch, it's such a nice fit.
I just don't trust this guy. This is a working ranch, Laney. It's not an amusement park.
If we can make this deal work out, then we can survive until next year.
Welcome to my ranch.
Let's get first team in here. First team.
Bob tells us they're making a movie out to your place.
Yeah, I guess everybody knows.
Holy cow, farts.
Cut! Mike, call a break! Damn it!
Everybody'd like to have your attention. It's time to freak out.
Where the hell do you get off interrupting my shoot? Where the hell do you get off
Young man,
punching
if you
my
ever-
What
actors?
the hell was that, Dad?
Just setting a tone.
What am I supposed to do that will make him respect me?
Give it a shot, John. Might wind up liking the kid.
What about him should I like? He doesn't respect me, and he doesn't respect my way of life.
Why does everyone in this town have to be so in your face?
Bob. Trust me, John. Trust your daughter.
Dad. Please.
This doesn't finish till I do, does it?
Pitching it, getting on podcasts such as yours today, and just spreading the word of this really great movie. It's a story of the times. It's a story of two worlds clashing, and I'm just trying to put the message out there so more and more people can be aware of it.
Okay, so could you tell us about where you trained to become an actor and how those experiences shaped you to be an actor today?
Absolutely. It all started, honestly, from when I can remember. Honestly, I grew up in a rural area of Virginia. Both of my parents were originally from New York City. So my
Yeah.
goal was to get back to New York City and continue to train professionally, which is what I did. I started in community theaters. I was actually just texting back and forth with my friend Alyssa, who I've been in shows with growing up in Virginia. And we were just reminiscing about community theater. And I always tell young actors, like, every opportunity to act is a gift. And you really have to look at it as, a marathon, not a race. Being around a lot of actors and being in community theater, in Fauquier Community Theater, growing up in Warrenton, Virginia, was a really great stepping stone for me to do regional theater, which I did at Riverside Dinner Theater. I did a couple shows there. It was my first paying gig, so I was getting paid to act. So I felt like a big hot shot. But I was also serving tables, so I was learning, just kind of almost both sides of it, right? It's that you have this dream when you're on stage, but you also have to work for it. There's, a lot of people miss that part. It can't just be all or nothing. You have to work for it. So it was actually, I don't know, it shaped me in a really great way. I did 3 shows there and learned a lot of respect and a lot of work ethic for continuing my dream. And then when it came time to go to college, I was lucky enough to have my grandma Matilda. I'm a grandma's boy at heart. Welcome me into her home on 79th and Broadway, and I got to spend years with her through college. And just focusing on taking advantage of so many opportunities that New York City gives you. I remember spending days at Actors Equity and just auditioning for anything I could, whether it be the national tour of Phantom of the Opera or, the Broadway company of Les Mis or Rent or whatever it was. And it was just an opportunity to be around actors. I found myself always trying to be around other actors because that's when I felt like I was in my sweet spot, my safe space, and where I felt like the most alive. And I was lucky enough to take that and study in college at Marymount College. On the east side, and I had some wonderful teachers there. Kevin Connell was incredible, just a real lover of actors, and just all the people there really shaped me. I also took coaching with Terry Schreiber at his studio in Chelsea. And he became like a grandfather to me, and he was kind of one of the reasons why I gave a shot to come out to LA and pursue more TV and film. And, again, I think that so much of what we do as actors is a team sport. A lot of times I say like actors get credit, maybe too much sometimes, but like the reality is we are a sum of our parts. We're some of our agents and our managers and our PR reps and the people that have guided us and really honestly our friends, the people that see you just as who you are, right? Because it's no different vocation than any other. We just really like to tell stories professionally. And that's something that I caught the bug on, to go back to your original question, since before I can remember. I remember as a young kid, just my imagination just spinning. I just loved the idea of telling stories as a human being with, a definitive timeline on this planet. It just brought me so much joy as a kid, and I continued that on until this moment right now.
Okay, because I think you might have answered the question, but I was going to ask you, as you got deep into the acting, what was your preconceived ideas of what acting was and then what it actually is when you got into it professionally?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the reality is, I think that acting has always stayed the same in my heart as a craft. Is learning about different people that maybe characters that have a connection to your inner being, and trying to find that world of melding the two together. Finding ways to create, character development has always been fascinating to me. Different people find different ways of doing that. I love backstories because it gives me a foundation to work off of when I'm actually saying the words of the script or the film or whatever. But for the other side of it, there is a business, right? The business side of it is can be difficult, and honestly it can deter a lot of actors to pursue their goals of becoming working actors, which is what my goal has always been, to just wake up every day and say, I get to be an actor today, and that in and of itself is a dream. It really is. If you can wake up and feed your family and pay your bills and say, I get to do what I love every day, that is the dream. The reality is there is a tricky business of it, and sometimes you have to take calculated risks, right? I'm very lucky that right now I feel like I'm in the sweet spot. I've just hired an incredible PR team at Portrait PR, Mia Hansen over there. She is incredible, and for me, it's like I'm putting my chips on the table because I have something that I believe in to promote, but it also gives me the opportunity to move towards, future opportunities. And that comes with my manager, Richard John Martin over at Ignite Management, and Tanya Kleckner over at HRI. These are the people that will continue to fight for me. So if I can give them more tools to fight with, then collectively we can achieve things together as a team. And that's more the business side of it. And it's good to be aware of both, but like I said, it takes a team. You have to rely on the people around you to continue your dream and to make opportunities happen for you within it.
Okay. So could you tell our viewers some of the projects you've been a part of?
Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm in a wonderful podcast called No Other Way with James Dinkins, who's the creator of it. That can be looked up on wherever you get your podcasts. Again, that's called No Other Way. I believe the Instagram is at nootherwaypod.com. I'm sorry, no, just at No Other Way Pod. But again, No Other Way on podcasts. I think we're about to get our 6th episode drop. It really is. It's a great story because it delves into a lot of the corruptness of the authority cop, dynamic in this country. And it's got like a really cool mystery. And the actors that are in it are just incredible. I get to, because I do my part. I play the role of Sam in the podcast. I'm a young kind of snarky cop, and it's fun because when I lay my track down for James to edit, I only edit my part, right? So I don't really get to hear the episode until he constructs it together, and he constructs it together with sometimes 12 to 15 different voices in one episode, which is incredible. And so I get giddy because when the episodes drop, I get to listen to what the final project is. Podcasts are a wonderful medium, and it's gotten me into producing podcasts as well. I think that podcasts are a great way to easily consume content and easily consume creative ideas, and then hopefully maybe you can pitch them to a TV show or a film or something like that. So no other way pod, Sam, look out for that.
As you were saying podcast, I didn't think of it the way that you just said it, that podcast could be used in that manner. So it's good that you explain what the podcast is that you have. Because that's different.
My production company also has a couple podcasts out. If you look up at Dragon Hunter Productions, it's on my link tree at Matt Drago. Our production company has a couple podcasts out right now that are available. And again, The Crime at Camp Ashwood is one of them. St. Mary's Children with the Stigmata is another one. And these are produced podcasts that the production company has done and marketed and cast actors in. And it's just, it's a wonderful medium for people to understand what, your work is about as an artist. So I really do. I really appreciate podcasting, and I really appreciate all forms of storytelling. One of the cool gigs that I got to do while I was in LA was I got to play King Scar. We've got Mufasa coming out, right? So I got to play King Scar in a Disney viral video called Counting Scars. Counting Stars by One Republic is a really famous song, and they did like a little parody called Counting Scars. It's a really, really cool video. If you look it up, it's on YouTube, Counting Scars. And it's fun because it's like a parody on the fact that King Scar really is the most evil of them all, because he's the only Disney character that's actually ever killed someone on screen, and it was his own brother. So he's the darkest Disney character that there really has ever been. And it was a really, really cool shoot. We got to shoot at Disney Studios. We got to have some really great actors. A lot of them have gone on to do wonderful things. And it was just like a really, really fun 4 to 5 day shoot. So Counting Scars, if you want to look that up, 5 minute video there. And then What Would Jesus Do? The Journey Continues. I play the bad guy, AJ, in that one. That's with John Schneider from Dukes of Hazzard. And I got to do some fight choreography in that one. That was really fun. Mike C. Manning is one of the leads in that. He's phenomenal. And just gigs like that. It's gig to gig for a lot of us, but now on to Somewhere in Montana and seeing how this film will do in the next month because it releases January 10th.
January 10th. Okay, so could you tell us the backstory without giving too much and how it was working with the cast?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll definitely start with the cast and the crew. I consider them one and the same. Just phenomenal. We really did become like a close-knit family. This early on felt like a story that was bigger than all of us, no matter whether you were one of the leading characters or one of the supporting characters or somebody that was lighting the barn for that epic scene between Graham and I. We were all in it together. We really did give our full energy and support to this film. The film's premise is it's very of the times. Like I said, it's a story of a West Coast director, Fabian Verdugo, played by yours truly, Matt Drago here, and John Alexander, played by Graham McTavish. It's a story of how people don't listen to each other anymore. The reality is I am a film director. I'm coming to a set. His ranch is something that is going to be one of the final places that we shoot this film. And, Fabian does bite off more than he can chew in a way because this is a legacy piece for him. This is a film that he's always wanted to make. He's got great actors that he's cast to try to create this project. And he's running out of time and he's running out of money. And so he needs John, but John also needs him because John's ranch is underwater and he's at risk of losing the ranch because he can't financially afford it anymore. So the two of us actually need each other, but we don't see that because the reality is the way that he looks at me is that I'm an intruder in his land, and he's just wanting to basically get a payment for me and not have to deal with me because he's never had a film crew on a set before. So we instantly become dissonant towards each other, as many people do right now. And it just becomes a thing of working through that. And there are some twists and turns that I can't give away, but there are some real dramatic points in the story, and it leads to the hope of people finding mutual respect for each other. And I always say mutual respect is the highest form of love that you can give people. And it really does speak to that. And I think that's a story that we all need to hear right now.
So is this based on a true story or it's just a...
So some of the characters, Brandon Smith, the writer and director of the film, he is pulled from different parts and facets of his own life. It is fictional, but it is something that he has drawn personal experiences from, both within, the actual plots of the story and within the two lead characters. He told me pretty early on that in many ways he's written himself into the two lead characters of the film, both Graham and I, John and Fabian, in that he's a director, but he's also someone that lives in Montana. So he kind of understands both worlds. He understands the dissonance that exists between the two worlds. And he wanted to kind of dive right into that issue and try to explore it and try to get people to hopefully understand a little bit more about, kind of maybe a society and people that they're not used to interacting with and trying to find a middle ground there.
Okay, so how did you prepare for this role? Was there a routine that you had?
Yes, I had a lot of time on this role, which was a gift, but sometimes a little bit too much time. You kind of overthink things too.
Yeah.
Uh, you, Basically, and I speak to this all the time, it was a really special experience because I got to work with the director who also is a writer, and I play a director in the film within the film.
Yeah.
So I got to learn things from him as a director. I actually went about a week early so that I could shadow him and understand kind of how to run a set,
Yeah.
right? And that was really special. But I always kind of go back to the beginning with Brandon and I, which was we got on Zooms just like this, and we explored scene by scene by scene in terms of how he viewed the scene. And Brandon will be the first person to say that like his job is directing and that is his, focus. But he, because he was the writer of it, had very clear visualizations on what he needed from the character of Fabian, which the actor's job is to deliver that to the director. And so we got to explore that from week after week. I think that process was probably a few months where we would just meet up on Zooms and do one scene at a time, one scene at a time. And it was honestly some of the most special times that I can remember in this process, really, were just the two of us really kind of working through these scenes that he had created and trying to just kind of extract all of the strength and power out of them. So I really do. I look back on those memories with Brandon on these Zooms very fondly, and I miss those times actually, because when you get to production, it gets way more complex, and you're up against the clock. And you have a lot of moving parts, and you have a lot of different schedules that you have to be aware of. So it becomes a lot more complicated. But at the end of the day, I think we pulled together. I think the crew was a major part of that. AJ Young, our DP, he is just, I mean, he's already a star in my book, but he's a rising star. His visualization of the script and the story were intense, and that he would do very long shots. He brought in tech, which was I forget the name of the actual lens, but they're old Russian lenses that are encapsulated in these new lenses, and so it gives it like an anamorphic, grainy feel to it, which kind of gave it kind of like an old world contextualized film.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of really, really cool elements within this film that are visual, and I give all the credit in the world to the crew. And that obviously starts with AJ Young, our DP, for creating that. And again, this is just going back to it, just a story of the times, but more importantly, a story that I felt like every single actor, every single person on the crew really bought into, because we knew that this was something that was bigger than ourselves, and we were all going to fight like hell to tell it the best that we could.
Okay. So since you play a director in the film, people who watch the film, they might want to know from your perspective, what are your top five favorite movies and why?
Gosh, I don't even have a top five. I mean, I always start with The Godfathers because I think they're just such a masterpiece of cinema. I could pretty much name any Scorsese movie and say, like, I just think that he's so thoughtful in his way to get actors to really open up. I think I heard an interview with him once, is that he casts the actors and lets them do their jobs, and
Yeah.
maybe find little tweaks here and there. I was thinking yesterday about two Robin Williams films, because he just could do no wrong in my book, and he could turn it on a dime. And I'm a child of divorce, so Mrs. Doubtfire is a movie that I
Yeah.
cannot get through without crying. I think it's such a beautiful film. Sally Field is just incredible in it. And Hook. I can't get through that movie without crying too.
Yeah.
There are just so many films that like have touched me in my life, that have given me the opportunity to feel alive, really feel human. And the experience of feeling human is to be in touch with your emotions. I always say it is better to be in touch with your emotions than to shove them to the side. And I do. I've always felt like art and film and theater, really any type of art, can really help human beings do that, to be more in touch with their humanity. And that's a badge of being an artist that I wear proudly. And that's why I caught the bug early, as that young kid, and now still, just going for it here and now.
Okay, so what are your plans for 2025? What could people look for?
Well, first of all, Somewhere in Montana, it releases in theaters January 10th. It will probably go to streaming platforms at a later time. So be looking for that. I will be posting any updates that I have on my Instagram
Yeah.
at Matt Drago, MattDrago, at Matt Drago on Instagram. It's the best way to find me. I can only do too many social media platforms, or they kind of drive me nuts. So Instagram is where I live primarily. You've got my link tree up there. It's got my IMDb if you want to look at upcoming projects. It's got my website if you want to look at past projects, because I've got, past projects that I have up there. Different press things that I have. Probably put this podcast interview up there as well. So if you want to look at like my quote unquote like archive of my work, just start at Matt Drago on Instagram and click that link tree, and you'll have everything you need to find everything about me.
Okay. Is there anything else you want the people to know about Matt Drago?
Just that I always like to speak to actors, especially ones that are kind of coming up, is that, I think we are in a world right now where human stories matter. It's what we've been talking a lot about today, so I'll stick with that.
Yeah.
Uh, we really need people to be writing these stories. We need human beings to be acting in them. AI is something that's real, and it's going to continue to be real. I just saw that Coca-Cola ad that was AI on TV the other day.
Yeah.
With a fake dog and just like
Easy,
fake
'cause
trucks and a fake,
I
you
was
know.
asking about the AI, and it's good that you brought it up because I actually was going to talk about it and I had kind of forgot. 'Cause I
See,
was,
we're
yeah,
in touch. We're intuitive.
I was like,
I
that's
knew it. Yeah,
perfect. I was like,
exactly,
yeah, I know there
exactly.
was something else I wanted to talk
Yeah.
about AI's impact with Hollywood, but you just talked
It's
about it. Yeah.
it's tricky because it makes things easier. And the reality is, and this is the way I feel about acting, and it should kind of go without saying, but like, I love the process of acting. Like, I love going to set. I love scene study with, my directors, with my writers. Like, I love the process of figuring it out. I don't want to sell my voice. I don't want to sell my likeness and just have a computer generate what they think I would do with the part.
Because
I also,
it's funny because I have asked actors this before, and even I interviewed a screenwriter as well, and her issue was what you were saying. And even in music, I've seen them take artists of today and put their music back in the 60s or 70s, like it was Motown. But you could tell the human aspect that you speak about. You could
right.
kind of tell in the voices and everything that it's not fully human because it's missing
Yes.
that human essence as you were talking about.
It doesn't seem as scary now because it's in the beginning phases of it, but
Yeah.
if we don't create a resistance to it now, it will be too late, because it makes productions a lot easier in some ways.
Yeah.
But what you lose in that is, and I think of that really more for future generations, like if you have children, like, you don't want your children in 10, 20 years from now to be like, hey, dad, like, it's weird. I saw this movie and it had people in it. Because I think when you get to that point, and believe me, that is something that's realistically on the table right now,
Yeah.
you will it won't necessarily be our generation. It'll be the future generation
Yeah.
that loses what the power of a human being telling a human story looks like, what real tears look like, what real emotions look like. You can't fake human eyes with a computer generated image. I believe that. You cannot fake
'Cause that's
the energy.
the windows to the soul, they say the eyes are, so.
Right. And if there is a computer behind those eyes, it's soulless. There's nothing there, right? It's an algorithm. And again, there are going to be parts of it that are fascinating, right? There are going to be parts of it like, Bruce Willis doing a movie, as a young Bruce Willis 30 years from now.
I was just thinking of the Will Smith Gemini
You
movie.
know,
That was
there
great.
there's going to be interesting, fascinating things to what it can achieve, right? But I hope that and I pray that it doesn't take over human beings telling human stories, because I never thought I'd have to say this, but humans matter. We matter,
Yeah.
and our stories matter, and we should be the only ones dictating not only if they're told, but how they're told. And so when I think about AI, it scares me. I think that's why Somewhere in Montana and films like this are so important for you and people that are doing podcasts like you to share and to get those people into the movie theaters, because indie films specifically are the resistance. They are the ones that will never have the budget to just be like, oh yeah, we're going to make Somewhere in Montana and we're going to make it in a computer. No, we're going
Yeah.
to make it in the elements. There's going to be rain. We're going to have to shoot inside that day. The wind is too strong. We're going to have to figure out something. We're going to have to move stuff around. What you get out of that is magic, because again, so much of a film is not just the actors. I give so much credit to the crew on Somewhere in Montana, because they gave me such great energy all the time. Like they were the backbone. And, I believe that you feel that through the screen. I believe that when you have like, a director that's nurturing you, producers that believe in you, a crew that stands with you, actors that are just constantly with you emotionally, the stories that you can tell like are going to resonate. You're going to feel it a lot more than you ever would through a computer program. So when I say indie films, like go give them a chance, like go watch an indie film. If you haven't seen an indie film in a while, watch Somewhere in Montana. See what it's about, because again, we're not hiding around a bunch of dollars. We're not hiding around a bunch of, technical graphic design. We are a story that is built on a story with powerful characters, a powerful message, and we are telling it truthfully. And that's the resistance of the indie world, and that's why these types of films matter. And this is why we hope that by doing podcasts like this, that you'll share the word, because the reality is we understand if it gets to a movie theater, it's $20 to go see this movie instead of this big budget, and we don't have the marketing budget, right? So we're putting it out there in ways like this. But when it shows up on streaming, like tell your friends to tell their friends, give it a shot, turn it on and see what a very, very organic human story looks like, because these are the films that I think truly matter with with AI more now than ever before.
Okay. Made your point. So
It's one I'm very passionate about, I gotta say.
I see that. Well, you made some very valid points there.
Thank you.
So everyone, in the new year, there's a new movie everyone could go check out. And all the best with the film and your future work. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you, Kevin. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks.